Hello and welcome to your beginners class. We're working a little bit on opening up the upper back today, so we'll start in this pose, Sukhasana, easy pose. I want you to be sitting on a high enough support so that you can let your legs release down. We have discussed this before. I'm sitting here on 4 foam pads because this allows me to release my thighs down, but also I'm going to place my hands here, so the width of it allows me to put my hands down. So make sure that you've got something that you can do that with. Pull the flesh of the buttocks out and back. Now you might be sitting on 2 foam pads, in which case you would want to have a couple of bricks for your hands because you need to be able to press down. So let the thighs release. Keep the abdomen sitting back, so it's almost as though it's like a baseball glove with a ball. So the abdomen and lower abdomen and the pubic plate kind of sit into this glove area that's holding this region. Now roll your shoulders back and down, extend the crown of the head towards the ceiling and move the upper back in. So we're lifting the breastbone and seeing, can we move the upper back in without popping the ribs forwards? So don't let the ribs thrust like that. You have to lift, roll, extend. Good. So from here, maintain all of those actions if you can. If when you take your hands here into the prayer position, the Namaskar, you lose that action in your upper back, then keep your hands here. Make sure that the shoulders don't hunch up by your ears and that you are creating that length and space here in the sides of the neck. Allow the eyes to close. Keep the abdomen soft and retreating. Keep the spinal column strong and extending towards the ceiling. Let the face release. Let the eyes become quiet. Allow the gaze of the eyes to move deep into the center of the body. Keep the thigh bones relaxed, so the groins have to release here to allow the legs to come down. Just let the breath flow, fine inhalation, fine exhalation through the nasal passages. After your next exhalation, allow the head to release down. Release your hands, palms face down onto the thighs, and now lift your head and lift your eyelids. Okay, well done. So we're going to come into what for many people will be quite an extreme action. So it may be that you have to use a different support. So the 2 options that I've got here are a brick and a blanket. Now if you're going to use your blanket, you can roll it like this and you can make it as thick or as thin as you like. Obviously these Indian cotton blankets are a bit more dense than some of the synthetic ones that you might have, but a towel rolled will also be absolutely fine. So I'm just going to show you how we're going to work over this brick. Now the brick goes to about this level on your back, which is just below the shoulder blades. So I'll just show. So you have to use the brick to lift up and over. Now I'm keeping my legs bent, and this action of the brick is moving the spinal column at around the thoracic region into the body. So I'm just going to show you how you would work if this is a little too much and you wanted to use the blanket instead. So if we were going to use the blanket, it goes in the same position, and those of you with tightness in your upper backs and shoulders may find that this is more doable. Now if you can take your shoulders to the floor with this blanket because it's a little bit lower, then so much the better. If it's difficult tipping your head back because of discomfort in the neck, don't tolerate any discomfort in the neck. There shouldn't be pain in the neck spine, so this area here shouldn't be troubling you. So if it is, you need to raise your head up. All right, so let's just give it a go with whatever your weapon of choice might be. Maybe a rolled blanket, maybe a rolled towel, maybe a brick. Legs bent, so that brick is going to go in at the just below the base of the shoulder blade, should kind of touch there. So it's really the towards the bottom end of the rib cage, and you coil over it. It's quite a strong action. And see, can you take your shoulders down? Now it might be that you need to put a blanket underneath your head and shoulders, those of you working on the brick. And you may get an adjustment. You may have heard my back adjusting just there. It's nothing to worry about. It's just the, it's where the discs between the vertebrae kind of are a little compressed, and then they open out a little bit more. It's where they're kind of opening to rehydrate. So see if you can coil around your support, having any support for your head that you need. Now when we come out of this, we're going to come up with a straight spine. So I want you, if you're able to cross your legs into simple cross legs as we started the class, then you're going to do that. If that's difficult, then come up with your legs bent. Dig your elbows into the floor. Push up with your elbows, then with your hands, so that you come into this seated position, keeping that spine nice and lifted. So that feels really quite energized. We're going to come now for a Bharavadjasana twist, and I'm going to show you from behind. We did this last week, you may remember. It was a slightly different action that we were working on last week in the pose, but I'm going to show with two foam pads. We're going to pop the two foam pads underneath the right buttock. Legs go to the left like this, and then you either place two more foam pads or a brick to put your hand to as you turn. You can see that the left hand comes to the outside of the right thigh. Okay, so we'll do that together. Now if you don't have foam pads, you can put a folded blanket underneath that right buttock bone. So from Tadasana with the legs out straight in front of you, swing your legs to the left. So you can see that the feet are, right foot is horizontal, left foot is vertical, and these two foam pads, because we tend to tilt to the right, the two foam pads go underneath the right sitting bone, so that the left sitting bone has something to drop down into. I'm going to use a brick behind me because I haven't got enough space to put the foam pads. So I'm going to take the brick behind, so the right hand comes behind, the left hand comes to the right thigh. Let this area here soften and release down towards the ground. Inhale and lift. Exhale and turn. So keep doing that. Inhale and lift. Exhale and rotate the body. But keep that left groin anchored down. So don't drag that with you as you go. Let the shoulders release. Keep breathing. And releasing. Coming to the other side now. So this is Bharavadjasana 1 twist. A seated twist, quite a simple twist on the outside, but it is quite involved, and we keep doing this twist. No matter where you are in your yoga practice, this is a twist that you need to include in your practice from time to time at least. So the left foot is horizontal, the right foot sits on top of the left foot, the legs come out vertically from the body, and the hips, the pelvis is level. So lifting, turning, having your brick or foam pads behind you. Right hand comes onto the outside of the left thigh. So you pull with that hand and you push with the hand that's behind you, but not aggressively. And the head only turns as far as the rest of the spine. Keep the right groin heavy so that it weights down towards the floor, and breathe. Okay, well done. So we're now coming into an upright position. Now again, we've done this pose before. It's actually a preparatory action for a pose rather than a pose in its own right. But it's to stretch the frontal thigh muscles, the quadriceps. So you can see here, I'm taking hold of my foot, bringing the knees together, and this thigh on the bent leg is next to the other thigh and it's lengthening down. So we're trying to get this length in the quadricep here. Now, for those who have difficulties holding on to the foot, you can use a belt. Don't use the loop on the belt. Always best to avoid using the loop on the belt in case something happens, because you don't want to fall over. You can use the back of a sofa, you can use a wall for your balance. It's that action if you need to use the belt. The belt goes around the ankle area. Okay, so let's make a start. We'll go right leg first. Start in Tadasana with your hands to the wall, lengthen your tailbone down, lift your chest. Imagine that brick is in your back, bend your right leg and hold on to the front of the foot. Now bring the inner thigh of your right leg next to the inner thigh of your left leg. Imagine that you've got a weight on your tailbone that is pulling your tailbone towards the floor, and now imagine you've got a weight on your right kneecap which is pulling your right kneecap towards the floor. So you should feel an action in the front of the thigh on that right leg. Lift your chest, breathe through the nasal passages, and just try and release those tight muscles. Okay, releasing the foot now, and we'll go to the other side. So left leg up, bringing the inner thighs together. So you can bring your heel towards your buttocks. It's not a problem if it's not touching them. That's the direction that it's going towards. And then just let that knee become heavy. Let the tailbone become heavy. Breathe through the nasal passages. Relax the jaw. So it's a constant balance between challenge and release. Okay, and releasing out of the action now. And by that I mean, yes, we have to challenge ourselves to do these poses, but also we have to be able to relax when we are doing them. All right, so we're going to come into an action with the hands now. If this is difficult, then we can fold the arms. Paschimottanasana, reverse prayer position, where we take the arms up, bring them up, fold the palms in, and draw the arms back. But for many people, this is a difficult action to get. So if that's the case, you hold on to the inner elbows. So we'll do in a moment, but I'm just going to show this. When the people who are folding the arms are changing to the other side, the people who are doing Paschimottanasana are going to see can you get a brick here between your hands? All right, so it puts an extra layer of challenge on for that second way of working. All right, but the first way of working, either grip hold of your left arm with your right hand and then hook your left thumb into the right elbow and draw down and lift your chest. Those who are working in Paschimottanasana, thumbs into the tailbone, turn the palms and take the hands up. So once you're in position in your Paschimottanasana, make sure that your feet are in Tadasana, inner edges of the feet together, toes spreading, weight back into the heel bones, kneecaps and thigh muscles lifting. Whichever way your arms are, you need to make sure your legs and your feet are behaving themselves. So those in the reverse prayer position, let the elbows release down towards the floor and take the outer shoulders back, but don't let the ribs pop forwards. See, can you move your hands slightly up your back and press the knuckles together. Okay, so releasing down now. The people who are in the folded arm position, you're now going to take hold of the right arm and see if you can hook the right thumb into the left inner elbow. So same actions as the people doing Paschimottanasana, drawing those elbows down and taking the outer tips of the shoulders back. Now if you're working with the brick, ready for this, this is quite a challenging action. So the hands come up to where they can on that brick, but it might be that this is a bridge too far at this stage in your practice. So that is fine, you just work with your hands together in Paschimottanasana. And if you're getting towards your reverse prayer position at this stage in your practice, then, or if you've got problems in your shoulders, then this may not be for you. Okay, so tailbone long, frontal hip bones lifting, elbows releasing towards the floor, fine inhalation, fine exhalation through the nostrils. Okay, and now releasing those hands. Good. We're going to come now for this action. So we're going to interlock the fingers and place the palms here to the base of the skull. Now, you're going to lift your elbows towards the ceiling. So it's that action. It's not that action. All right, can you see how I've swung forwards there? And that's not a good action to be doing. We're trying to keep the whole of the frontal body as though it's against a wall and then stretch the elbows up. Now, I do know that for many people with stiffness in the upper back, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. So what you're going to do instead is you're going to take a belt and you're going to push out to the belt like this, to wherever you can get your arms. It might be that your arms can come right up, but it might be that your arms are down here, and that is fine because we have to be gentle with these shoulder joints. We want all of our joints to last us our lifetime if we can, so we have to be mindful of those. So either with the elbows, with the hands into the belt, the wrists into the belt, or extending your elbows up towards the ceiling. So here, if you're feeling a stretch, it should be in the outer armpit region. So keep extending up, keep the sides of the neck soft and long, breathe, kneecaps lifting, thigh muscles lifting, and now releasing down. Good, well done. Hard action to get. So we're going to come now for Virabhadrasana 1, which we're stepping into. So I'm just going to show how we're going to work in that. And you may need to have your belt because we're going to use the hands in the same way as we've just done in the previous pose. We're turning the left foot out, stepping forwards, a nice wide stride with the right foot. Now either we're going to do this action with the elbows, extending up, extending up, extending up, and then taking the arms up, or if you're working with your belt, you're going to put your belt on, press out, press out, press out, and then you take your belt up to wherever you can get that. Okay? Now, if this is uncomfortable on your back when you take your arms up, then you need to take your arms a little bit forwards. But we're trying to get this long stretch through these quadricep muscles, but now coming into the hip flexors as well. So we've got a little bit of a stretch here, you remember, when we did this action. So now we're extending it a little bit higher up into the hip flexors. Okay, so I've got this squeaky board just here, so excuse me when that starts to creak. Turn your left foot out. Step forwards, nice wide stride with your right foot. Now here we're trying to get the hips reasonably level and push into that back leg heel and shift your pubic plate forwards, lift your frontal hip bones up. Now place your hands either into your belt or with your thumbs into the base of the skull, lifting your elbows, opening the outer armpits. Then bend your front leg, bend your front leg. See how much of a square can you get? How straight can you keep your back leg? How much can you keep the pressure moving into the back leg heel? Pubic plate forwards, chest lifted. And now if you're able to, you stretch your arms up, palms of the hands facing one another. Remember that brick when we started? So still feel that brick into your back. Breathe. Okay, release the arms down, hands on the hips, step forwards and then walk back to your pad. Right foot out, tailbone long, big step forwards. Again, level the pelvis out, and before you start, get a connection with the back leg heel into that foam pad so you can really feel that digging down there. The weight on your tailbone should be heavy, so you should feel a real stability coming from that tailbone becoming longer. Roll your shoulders back and down, either with the belt on your wrists or you interlock the fingers in the opposite direction, so whichever is not the natural way for you to do. Place your hands so that the thumbs are at the base of the skull. Now when we extend the elbows up, remember we're not popping the ribs forwards here, we're just opening the armpits up. Breathe. And now see, can you bend your front leg? Bend your front leg and now extend the arms up by your ears. Relax the facial features. Straighten and strengthen the back leg. Keep the pubic plate shifting forwards. Okay, release the arms down and stepping out. Well done. Okay, we're going to come into another preparatory action now, which I'm just going to show. Now, problems in the knees, you might well find that going back to doing this at the wall, remember, but with the belt. So those of you who have problems in the knees may well find that this is the preferable action for you to repeat rather than doing this action here. And if you've got a hard floor, you might want to put a bit of a blanket down here so that you've got some protection underneath the pubic plate. I'll just show how we're going to work in this. So we're going to bring up one leg at a time. So I'll bring up my right leg first and see, can I reach behind and hold on to that right foot? So you can see I'm just gently encouraging it to come down, and then we'll do the same with the left leg. So don't force this, you have to kind of relax in order to get somewhere with this action. But it's again a very strong stretch on the quadriceps. So come down onto your front, use a blanket if you want to, tuck your toes under and just lift and lengthen. It's this area here that we're trying to open out. All right, so you lift and lengthen, tuck under, lift and lengthen. Beyond your elbows, lift your chest. So those of you working to the wall, have your belt, just draw your foot up. You might find that it's a little easier this time around because we've opened the body out a little bit more with the other poses that we've done. Bend your right leg, hold on to the front of the foot. So we're just holding on to the front of the foot, elbow towards the ceiling. Relax your thigh muscle. So the heel comes first of all towards the buttock, then if you're quite flexible, the heel may come down by the side of the hip. Breathe. Releasing and going to the other side. So draw the foot up, keep the chest lifted beyond the elbows, and then take the left hand, hold on to the front of the left foot, left elbow towards the ceiling, relax the thigh muscles and just encourage that foot to move down. Okay, well done. So we're going to just sit up now. All right, we're going to come into Adho Mukha Svanasana, dog head down. I'll just show how we're going to work in this because we're going to again be working on this upper back region. So I want you to take the hands wide with the little finger just over the outer edge of the mat. You're going to tuck your toes under and we're going to come forwards and back, forwards and back, forwards and back, just to get a little bit of movement in that upper back region. So coming onto your hands and knees, middle finger pointing forwards, fingers evenly spread, press down with the knuckles and have the little finger just over the outer edges of the mat. So you're just taking the hands a bit wider than you would do normally. Inner elbows facing one another, abdomen towards the spine, tuck your toes under, lift your sitting bones up. So we're still lifting up, we're not trying to get the heels down here. Look at your kneecaps. Are they lifting? If they're not, lift them. Look at your heels, make sure that they're pointing directly back, not swinging in or swinging out. Now you can push back with the top of the thighs, look forwards towards the end of your mat, swing forwards and back, forwards and back. We're just trying to see, can we get some movement here in the upper back region? So between the shoulder blades, so just moving the body to try and get a bit of fluidity here. All right, and now coming down into Adho Mukha VIrasana. If this is difficult for you, then you can work on the chair as is shown in the inset. I want everybody in Adho Mukha VIrasana to have a brick for the head so that again you can work on moving that upper spine into the body. So let the upper spine move towards the floor. So the area between the neck and the base of the ribs, see can you move it down. The knees are hip width apart. All right, and slowly coming up out of the actions. Good. I'm going to come now for this, again, preparatory action. We've done this in this group, so you may well know and love this action, or not. We're going to have a nice thick support of a blanket, and it might be that you want more of a support than that, more of a height than that. You can always take a roll of blanket to put on there. We're going to place the belt so that when you put it around your arms, your shoulders, your elbows and your wrists are all in one line. So it should be one straight line down each side. Now, we're going to have a couple of bricks for this. And the elbows just come here onto the top of the blanket. Now, if you've got trouble in your upper back, there's a lot of stiffness there, then coming up out of this action is going to be very difficult for you. So you can work like this, pushing to the belt. So in other words, you're just broadening the area between your collarbones, between your shoulder blades. So it's really just pushing out and getting some movement and action. For those who are able to, yes, you still have to get that same movement and action, but you may be able to lift up. Now, when we lift up, what tends to happen is this. The elbow forward. So I'm going to show that again. It's this. So we need to see, can we keep those upper arms vertical and the armpits open and press out to the belt. So we're not trying to look up, we're just trying to get some opening there. All right, so let's give that a go. Elbows onto your support. The higher the support, the more lift it gives for your shoulders. So if you're having difficulty with this, you may want to roll your mat up. You know, if you've got a second mat, you may want to roll that up so that you've got a really high lift underneath the elbows. Just make sure you don't fall off them. So it's just the tips of the elbows, and you can see that my hands are flat here, all right? I'm placing the thumb in front of the brick, the index finger goes to the side of the brick, and the same on the other side. So I'm going to show this for a while so that you understand where the hands are. Now, the wrists press down. Even if your elbows are lifted up a lot, the direction of the wrists is down. Before you start, make sure that your upper arms are vertical, that they're not already sinking forwards. Those of you who have difficulties in your back, your shoulders, you just work here, pressing the belt, the upper arms into that belt to get some opening in the shoulders. Those who are able to, press down with the knuckles, push out to the belt, tuck your toes under, and lift. So if your armpits have come towards your bricks, move them back. Lift your sitting bones up, lift your abdomen towards your spine. Keep the sides of the neck soft and long. Don't hold tension in the back of the neck. Breathe, release down. Okay, so next time we're going to see if we can walk in a little bit. If you're working with your knees onto the floor, then by all means you still keep on pushing out to that belt. Okay, one more time. Tuck your toes under, press down with the wrists, press out to your belt, lift up. Now see if you can walk your feet in a little and move your armpits back. If that's all going well, move your feet in a little closer to your arms and move your armpits back. Push out to the belt, don't crunch the back of the neck, and release down. We're going to come into Adho Mukha VIrasana again. So sit back on your heels, take your brick for your head and extend forwards. So let the breath become fine and even through the nasal passages here. All right, and slowly coming up. So I'm just going to show you, we're going to come into Tadasana here. We're going to work with the foam pads to the wall, and Anybody who has discomfort in the back doing this, then take your feet higher. You can take your feet up onto the seat of a chair or the seat of a sofa. Now, you'll take your belt, and I'm just going to show you this way around so you can see, because this is often a cause of some confusion in the classes. The belt comes here, over the front of the ankles. And then you basically just make little anklets with it. So can you see that? You can make them as long or as short as you want to. So quite often people start wrapping the belt around their legs and so on. You don't need to do that. You just place it across the fronts of the ankles, pull it in the centre and hold on behind, so you've got two little straps, one for each ankle. I'm just going to show how we're going to do this to the wall. You can take your toes up the wall. Wriggle in. Bring your knees towards your chest. Sorry about that, that was quite a loud bang. You're going to put your belt like that around your ankles. Place your feet onto the support. So you need to have your toes up the wall, and then we're going to lift. So lifting like that, most people can do, it's not a problem, but that's not enough. We need to roll the shoulders under and push so that we're really opening out in the chest. Okay, let's do that together. So you probably can't see the screen when you're going to come into this, so don't worry about that. Put your foam pads by the wall. If you need to watch the demonstration again, then watch the demonstration again. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Place your belt across the fronts of the ankles. Pull it in the centre between your ankles so that you've created two anklets. So you have one around the front of each ankle and you're holding on behind each heel. Place your feet down to the supports with your toes up the wall, holding on to those anklets. Roll the shoulders under and just lift. So you'll get to a point where you feel that yes, you've lifted and that's all very nice. So now you have to work in the pose. Spreading your toes, pressing down with your feet, move your upper arms towards one another, roll onto the top of your shoulders, and now push the head of the shin away from the wall so that you lift. So it's this pressure with the shin that gives you the lift. Now roll your thighs in towards one another. Feel yourself coming more onto the top of your shoulders and release down. Wriggle away slightly, bring your knees into your chest, just rock slightly from side to side as you recover. We're going to go again. Hold on to those anklets. Place your feet down, wriggle in, press your toes to the wall, inhale, and on an exhalation, lift, come to your natural pause, roll your upper arms towards one another, and now push the head of the shin away from the wall to lift you. If you need to roll onto the top of the shoulders, then roll onto the top of the shoulders. But lift and breathe and roll your thighs in towards one another. Release down. So as I say, anybody who has problems in the back, then if your lower back doesn't like this, take yourself a little bit higher. Anybody who has problems in the neck, you can put some support under your shoulders like our Savasana platform. So our platform that we use for shoulder balance, you can use that underneath the shoulders if this is difficult. And then you can put your feet onto a chair. All right, so one more time, hold on to the belt, put the feet down, inhale, and lift. Okay, roll onto the top of the shoulders, press your shins away from the wall, roll your thighs in towards one another, breathe through the nasal passages, and releasing. Okay, just bring your knees into your chest, rock for a little while so that the sacral region just releases from this. And then when you're ready, roll to your right and coming up. Well done. So we're going to be coming for a version of VIrasana, bow pose. Now I've put a blanket there so it just protects the front of the body. Particularly if you're quite skinny, the frontal pelvic bones can really dig into the floor. So just have a quick look. What we're going to do is we're going to lift and lengthen, lift and lengthen. First way we're going to work is like this. We're going to bring the hands behind, bring the legs in, and lift the chest. Okay, so let's do it together. So lying down on your front, tuck your toes under and lift one side of the body and lengthen. Tuck your toes under, lift the other side of the body and lengthen. Push your elbows down into the floor and lengthen the front of the body. Now you can interlock your fingers at the front here so that you've just got this lift through the chest, and feel where that upper back is moving. And that's where we're wanting it to move when we come into this action. So the arms come straight back with the palms facing the ceiling, and your feet come towards your buttocks. With that action, inhale and lift your chest. Draw the shoulder blades down. Breathe soft inhalation, soft exhalation through the nasal passages. And now release. Bring your toes together and your heels apart. Fold your arms and rest your head onto your hands. All right, we're going to go again. Arms back, legs in, inhale, lift up. So lift your chest now. See if you can lift your thighs off the floor a little bit. Lift your chest some more and breathe and release. Toes together, heels apart. Relax your head. So it might be that you stay with that action. Now, if your back was uncomfortable when you started to lift your thighs, then focus on keeping your buttocks soft. Doesn't matter about lifting the legs. For those who feel they can go a little bit further, we're going to come into the VIrasana action. So I'm just going to show you how that's going to work. We're going to bring the feet in, hold on to the fronts of the ankles. So you can see that my toes are pointed at this stage. I'm going to flex my feet like that. And then on an exhalation, I'm going to lift my legs, which will lift my chest. Okay, so let's try that with the feet flexed. So those working in this action, yeah, you can just lift your chest again. It's hard work. All right, so hold on, see if you can catch hold of the front of the ankle. so it's not the foot bone, front's the feet. And now flex your feet, so draw your toes down towards the floor. Lift your chest, draw your shoulder blades down towards your back waist, and push your feet into your hands to lift you up. And breathe. Relax the buttock region. Try not to over tighten that, and releasing. Toes together, heels apart, rest your head. So those who are working with the arm stretching, I want you now to work with your arms going straight back, and you're going to see, can you lift your legs a little bit with them straight, Salavasana. For those working in Dhanurasana, we're going to work with the toes pointing in the other direction. Like that. Okay. So those working in Salavasana, hands back, feet back, you can just lift your chest again, but see, can you keep this area here from over tightening? You don't want to tighten too much around this sacral region. For those working in Dhanurasana, hold on to the frontal ankles, inhale, and lift. So press the feet into the hands to get more lift and extension through the body. And releasing. Okay, toes together, heels apart. Rest your head. So we're just going to ease out back a little bit. We're going to come into Adho Mukha, Svanasana, dog head down. So come onto your hands and knees. Middle finger forwards, inner elbows facing one another. Tuck the toes under. Lift up. Lift the sitting bones and push back with the roots of the thighs. Push back, push back, push back. So you can do this now. You can join in with me now. Come onto the hands and knees. Press down into the knuckles. Push back with the legs. Keep the abdomen lifting towards the spine. Are those kneecaps lifting? If they're not, lift them. Look at your heels, make sure they're not swinging in or out. And imagine you have a rope around the top of each of your thighs, pulling you back. Okay, and now we're going to come down into Adho Mukha VIrasana. We're going to just work in a slight variation here. We're going to come into a slight twist. So a Pajva action. So turn from your Adho Mukha VIrasana, come into your Adho Mukha VIrasana, beyond your fingertips. So spider the fingers, bring the hand down. So your left hand comes by your left hip and your right hand comes across. So the left elbow is bent, left arm is straight. We're not trying to get the head to the floor here, we're just trying to get a length and extension through the side waist, through the side of the body. Come back to the center and come to the other side. And back to the center, and now releasing up out of the actions. Good. We're just going to come into a Setu Bandha action, so it's a soft action on the back. We're going to use a bolster. If you haven't got a bolster, use a couple of foam pads. You can put a blanket over a couple of foam pads to make the shape of the bolster. But I don't want it too high here, because we're just letting the back release out now after those strong back bending actions. So here you're just rolling over the bolster, top top of the shoulders come to the floor. If they don't, then you need to put a blanket underneath your head and shoulders, and then you stretch your legs out to your foam pads. So just let the breath steady and settle. Back of the neck long, sides of the neck soft, frontal body stretching. Okay, so bend your knees, roll to the right and come up. We're not staying in it for very long. Again, we're coming into this action. You can use your foam pads instead of a bolster to come into this Bharavadjasana twist on the bolster. So here we're rotating away from the knees and then releasing the hands down. Okay, so come so that your right hip comes to the front of your bolster, or you'd be using foam pads in that sort of shape with a blanket over the top. And this is a Bharavadjasana twist, so we do have to rotate the spine. So we're turning, turning, turning. So if it's uncomfortable to turn your face away from your knees, then you keep your face in the same direction as your knees, but you can still turn the spine. And we're going to go to the other side now. So knees come over. So it's now your left hip that's close to that bolster. And again, we're getting this rotational action. So you can stay for longer on each side if you wish to. That's absolutely fine. And extend down with that rotation on the spinal column. Allow the eyes to become heavy. So you can stay in this pose, you can swap from side to side, do it a few more times to just let the body release, or you can come into your standard Shavasana, maybe with a bolster underneath the knees to let the back just settle down. So it's your choice how you proceed with this. I need to leave you now. So I've enjoyed teaching this class. I hope you've enjoyed practicing. The backbends are always a challenge in classes. A lot of people find them very, very tough. Most of us do, to be perfectly honest. And they're not necessarily the most popular poses, but they are very important for your strength, for the opening in your chest, for your mobility. So we introduce them slowly, and hopefully over time those actions of mobility and strength improve. But you do need to have a decent Shavasana afterwards, so please do take as long as you need. 5 minutes, 10 minutes in a Shavasana after your Bharavadjasana twist on the bolster would be a very nice thing to do. It will just relax your body and get you ready for the day or the evening ahead. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Namaste.